the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for wanting to come in and spend your Sunday afternoon here in the Six Screens of the Watchtower. Well, my name's Rick Farron. I'm up here in the hub of the universe, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm so glad that we have all these friends, and I want to tell you, I really appreciate you wanting to call in and join our program. Now, last night, we right now have close to 6,000 views on the program we did last night on blood. If you remember, we had John Vinny. Well, he was on the hospital liaison committee. He was a big official of the Watchtower, and he oversaw a lot of other elders in their position they took on trying to help witnesses or trying to encourage witnesses not to take blood transfusions in the United Kingdom. So John was on last night, and boy, he brought a lot of people in. And really, when you stop and think about it, this week was a real big week. I've been reporting, as I was saying last night, here on the Six Screens for 20 years. And this, I think, was the biggest amount of people coming into the programs, YouTube, all the videos you see on YouTube, all of the posts you see on Facebook. It was just amazing. A lot of buzz going on with the new Watchtower changes, how they're changing their position on blood. And it got a lot of people thinking, and why wouldn't it? Yeah, we had a great program last night. People were calling in from all over the world, and I mean that literally. People were coming in and voicing their thoughts on the blood issues in the Watchtower. Well, let's take a look here. What basically happened this week? And I know you all know about it. And it happened on March 20th. March 20th, that would have been Thursday. And there was a governing body update number 2 on their video streaming and on their jw.org video programs. And it was delivered by Garrett Loesch. And he announced something about blood that was really brand new. He kind of considered a clarification, but it was really brand new. We're going to play a little clip of that, so you will get to see it. And but anyways, what we're going to try to do here today is, when you have a big story like took place this week in the Watchtower, when you're giving the news, there's like 5 W's. There's something that you really want to prioritize when you give the news, and we're going to try to do it here today. We did it last night. The 5 W's we want to try to connect with today is who, what, when, where, and why. So the first part is the who. Well, who came out with this message? As we say, it was a governing body member, Loesch. So let's get in there, and let me see if I can't share this part with Loesch. I'm getting in here right now. I'll share the video with you. Just give me a second here, and we're gonna go up to the part where he starts talking about blood, and it's near the end here. They give about a 15-minute video, and then it's right. Let's listen in. You hold on one second here. We'll get Loesch speaking up here. Let me go back to my video stream here. Let's share the stream right now. And that way there, you'll be able to see what Loesch said for yourself. So let's do that. Let's go over here. And, of course, that's Brother Loesch, as we say. I call him brother, stay in the vernacular. So let's listen in a little bit right now.
The gift of life. One way we show respect for life is by obeying his commands concerning blood. Jehovah gave Noah and his descendants the timeless command, only flesh with its life, its blood, you must not eat. He likewise directed Christians to abstain from what is strangled and from blood. As Jehovah's Witnesses, we conscientiously obey this command today. It also affects the decisions we make about medical treatment involving blood. When making decisions about blood, we have also been guided over the years by what the Mosaic law stated at Leviticus 17, verse 13. If one of the Israelites or some foreigner who is residing in your midst is hunting and catches a wild animal or a bird that may be eaten, he must pour its blood out and cover it with dust. However, is that law binding on Christians? The simple answer is no. For one thing, Christians today are not under the Mosaic law. As the Apostle Paul said, as recorded at Colossians 2:13 and 14, God erased the handwritten document that consisted of decrees and was in opposition to us.
Just stop there for a second. This part really gets me. When we were all fully in as Jehovah's Witnesses, and I can remember even going door to door, and, especially when you got into a study with a person like a return visit, after a while they got to know you, then the blood doctrine would always come up. You wouldn't bring it up on your first visit to a door, but, that blood doctrine would always come up. And of course, we would always use, the scriptures in Leviticus 17 about abstaining from blood. And we would use the Old Testament. Now, what we have here is Brother Loesch. I'm using the term Brother Loesch just in vernacular here, so we get what's being talked about. So Brother Loesch mentions that, that's the Old Testament. And, we now are nailing that Old Testament, according to Colossians, as he says here, to the torture stake, to the cross. So that's a change right there. We always were told that, use those scriptures in explaining to people our position as Jehovah's Witnesses would take on the blood doctrine. All right, let's continue on and see what else Brother Loesch has to say.
He has taken it out of the way by nailing it to the torture stake. Therefore, Christians are not under the command that blood be poured out and covered with dust. Furthermore, the Bible does not comment on the use of a person's own blood in medical and surgical care.
Well, you just heard him. Loesch says that the Bible doesn't comment on the use of blood in medical and surgical procedure. Well, the Bible doesn't comment on it, but the Watchtower took full liberty to comment on it. Specifically here, what they call autologous blood, that is your own blood. So what the Watchtower is saying now is you can have your own blood taken out of you, and they can store it when you would need it in an emergency, and then they can transfuse it back into you. Now, friends, this is something that the Watchtower has never gone along with. Loesch indicates that they did say it was a conscience matter back in 2002. But if it really was that, and Loesch was telling the absolute truth, why is it that on the present day card that Jehovah's Witnesses carry, they call it the no blood card, why does it say on that card specifically that you cannot take your own blood and store it and use it at a later time? So, Brother Loesch here, he's not coming across as truthful. Wouldn't you want the truth from a so-called anointed man? But he's getting in here and he's actually throwing a curve at the audience. Listen in.
The use of one's own blood, our position has been, as is stated in the October 15, 2000 issue of the Watchtower, there it says, a Christian must decide for himself how his own blood will be handled in the course of a surgical procedure, medical test, or current therapy.
All right, so stop right there. Now, that's just what I said. So he's going back and saying the Watchtower of October 2000, specifically page 31, a Christian must decide for himself how his own blood will be handled in the course of a surgical procedure, medical test, or current therapy. So he's using that as a pivotal point here, saying that it's up, back then they were saying it's up to the Christian. He should decide for himself. But as I said, why did they continue to print and hand out the no blood card saying that you couldn't store your blood? So, the right hand here doesn't know what the left hand is doing. And that's always been the case with the Watchtower. Continue on for a while.
For that reason, many Christians accept simple procedures such as blood tests, as well as more complicated procedures involving their own blood.
All right, we're going to let that go for now. So let me just get Brother Loesch out of here, and we can kind of open up a little bit. I got some stuff I want to discuss with you, and let me just stop sharing that right now. And okay, we're back. All right, let me get over here. So anyways, Loesch is now saying that you can store your blood. Yeah, you go to the hospital, and if you're Jehovah's Witness and you say, look, I want you to store blood. I got a procedure coming up, and I want you to store, 5 pints of blood. And when I go through the surgical event that I'm going to have the next couple of weeks, you can give me my own blood if I need it. So that is the new position the Watchtower is taking. And he mentions it as a clarification. It's not a clarification. This is an outright change. But the Watchtower is never going to come out and say they made a change or they now take a new position. That they got to use some word that is totally opposite, or maybe not totally opposite, but at least not explaining the whole situation. It's not clarification. It's a big time change. So the Watchtower organization is going to have a really hard time pulling this off without repercussions. Now, there's going to be some type of a stampede here. Maybe it's not going to be totally visible, but as I speak right now, this policy change is a few days old. This is already going through the minds of many Jehovah's Witnesses. They are ticked off. We had people calling the program last night that were pretty ticked over the whole thing. They had relatives die, and now they're coming out and making a change on what you can do, and you couldn't do it before, and people have died because they couldn't take their own blood before. And so, many relatives are really upset and bent out of shape because of this change, and rightfully so. How many? I don't know how many are going to be upset, but I know one thing: it will be well into the hundreds of thousands, might even be over 1 million. Maybe someone that died from refusing a blood transfusion. I know someone that did. I know 2 people that did. Well, one died from refusing. That's 3 people I know. So, anyways, there's a lot of people. People know many people have died from refusing a blood transfusion. Now, so this change is coming, according to the Watchtower. I guess it must be at the right time. But this is, I was thinking, with all the changes we've seen in the Watchtower in the last 3 years, we've seen the changes in beards. Now witnesses can have beards. Women can wear slacks. They now call this fellowship removed. You can now toast. You can now go to higher education. All of this stuff is changing rapidly. I thought the blood policy would be the last thing that the witnesses would touch. You want to come on 989? Come on 989. Tell us what's on your mind.
Rick, I got some more thoughts about this.
Yeah.
Now, so he's talking about the Mosaic Law. Okay. Well, the Watchtower has always said that we're not under the Mosaic Law. So they would go back and they would say that the law, remember the Rainbow Covenant, when Noah and his family got off the ark, was it Genesis chapter 9, verse 4. They would say that supersedes Mosaic law, because if you only went by Mosaic law, then what Loesch would say would be true. Yeah, that doesn't apply. But they would go back and say, well, it was superseded by this law God gave to Noah. He doesn't even mention that. But that was always my understanding about it, because they'll let people eat pork, right? So the Watchtowers never followed Mosaic. I mean, they did use the scriptures in Leviticus, you're right, but I wish he would have mentioned the scripture in Genesis, because that was what I always thought, that it was it superseded the blood law, superseded Mosaic law, because it was, as I said, it was given before.
Well, you know something. You're pretty astute. Really, you're very astute on that, because Mike, it's true what you're saying, and of course he wasn't going to bring that up because it would have added too much confusion. I mean, most witnesses don't know that. They really don't. I mean, if you ask the average Jehovah's Witness about that superseding, they wouldn't bring that up. But you know this. You study. You know the teachings of the Watchtower. Now, excuse me, Mike. Now, you had a situation in your own family with your mother going back.
Well, that wouldn't. Well, you know what, Rick? When my mother had cancer, that wouldn't have helped her. But I know my mom had she had her gallbladder out. She was a lot younger. She was probably still in her 30s. Now she didn't need blood, but I know it was an issue. It was brought up as an issue. Now she probably could have done this, donated her own blood for that, and I think it caused her mental, stress over it. I mean, I was young when I remember that. My dad said, she was upset. The doctor said something, So even if somebody didn't, it could be a mental strain on people. But I don't know. I've been trying to read about this. I don't know a whole lot about blood, but Rick, from what I'm understanding, is you can't store blood for a long period of time. I've been trying to read about it. So this is only going to help people in certain situations. Maybe women in childbirth. If you're going in for some type of a surgery, it could help. Well, I thought about one person. I don't know if it's true or not. Some people claim that, remember Prince, that he needed hip replacement surgery, I believe, and he didn't get it, worried about the blood issue, and that's possibly what led to him taking these drugs that caused him to die. With this, if he could have done this, maybe he would have had the surgery, if that story was correct.
Well, I didn't even think of that, but that's a good example. That's a good example. And even though Loesch comes out and says, well, going back to the year 2000, Watchtower magazine says up to your conscience. But like I said, right on the blood card that they're carrying today, it says you cannot take blood out of you and put it back in. You can't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and another thing, when Bob Rick, he never used the word transfusion. He said give back. So obviously, I mean, who knows? Maybe some lawyer wrote this. And I'm going to assume the reason they had Loesch do it, he's the one they probably thinking this would give it more credibility. He's the longest standing member on there. They've done this with each one of these major changes. And who knows? Maybe he was against it, and maybe this is penance for him. But I would love to. I still would love to talk to Type Pants Tony. I want to hear it. I'd love to hear his commentary on this. And I'm wondering, Rick, maybe the next thing is they're going to allow LGBT. Maybe that's what. Maybe that's why Tony left. He knows all the changes that are coming. It's like if you're Garrett Loesch, you wonder about it. I was even thinking about this. I wanted to think about maybe resigning, but he's old. Where's he going to go?
Well,
I mean, if I was on that governing body and I had to do that, I think I would resign protest. I couldn't do it, Rick. I feel like such a heel.
Oh, no, it's just they're all over the map with this. But you know what really is, I watch Brother Loesch talk about this change. I can't believe how casually he spoke about it. Now, this is serious, Mike. And, rather than have it was a 15-minute video that they did. And in the beginning, they talked about disaster relief and what have you. So near the end of the video, they bring this up. They should have this is big in the Watchtower. They should have brought it right up right away so nobody would miss it. A lot of witnesses haven't even heard about it yet. But he was very casual about it. Now, this is playing with people's lives, and he's kind of talking about it. It is no big deal. Well, it is a big
Right.
deal.
Well,
Yeah.
well, Rick, I mean, is this? Are they gonna? Is this just the first step to just dropping the blood ban completely? Do you think?
I believe so. I believe that they got on that trail with the fractions 10 years ago.
But they allowed fractions a long time ago. You know, like back. Ray France talked about it. They would allow factor 8, factor 9. Maybe they've gone back and forth on it. Well, they allowed the organ transplants and with dialysis machines, stuff like that. But the whole point of it is you abstain. Remember, they would always use that term, abstain from blood. So what's that? Okay, once the blood leaves your body, it's put in a bag. Okay, it's in a bag. It's so, yeah. Remember, they'd always emphasize you can't store blood. So it's in a bag. Now that's your blood. They're saying, well, you can take it back. But another guy, any Tom, Dick, or Harry, his blood, that's your blood type, you can't take that. Now, there's no scriptural argument for that. Once you're saying that you can take, even if it is your own blood, and transfuse it back, well, then basically by your own words, you're saying that transfusions are okay. He said in there's no scriptural command about blood use in medical practice. That would go for anything, not just your own blood, anybody's blood. I mean, that's obvious. He has to know that. I mean, basically, a lot of witnesses will just say, oh, well, they'll probably just go ahead and take blood transfusion. Oh, why not?
Well, I'll tell you what. If I was a witness now, my whole idea of this blood policy of the Watchtower would have changed. But
well, I was even looking, Rick. I noticed that AP. It's been in newspapers and stuff.
Oh yeah.
This is a big scope.
Oh yeah. Now I'm even wondering though, Mike. Even if that it was in the the British newspapers, BBC, broadcasting. It's been all over the world now. But I'm even wondering if Jehovah's Witnesses would prod them to put this story in their news articles because generally the Jehovah's Witness religion isn't that big. I mean, it's like a pimple on a rhino's back.
But I don't think this is good news for them. I mean, it kind of makes them. I don't know.
Well, no, but see what I'm thinking right now. There's 14 countries that are starting to come down on the witness movement. They're really Japan mostly. I mean, right now is concerned about the blood doctrine in the Watchtower and how young children are put under duress and they could die because of it. And consequently, countries now are realizing how evil and how dangerous the organization is. So, in view of saving themselves from all these countries coming against them, if they just jump out and get this all over the newspaper that they changed, maybe they're looking for some. Better situations that the countries would look at them at, not so dangerous. So who knows? Yeah.
Well, I said before, it's like the blood doctrine. You got to look at it and think if they didn't make it in 1945 and it wasn't a doctrine, the Watchtower governing body of the day certainly wouldn't come up with this. So it's something they inherited. There's no doubt about that. But they could have got rid of this years ago if they had just, remember, they didn't allow, vaccinations. But vaccinations I don't think that ever got to where, de-escalate for it. The blood thing, they should have dropped it back in the 60s, because I believe it was in the early 60s when they made it a de-escalating offense. I mean, that was their mistake. They should have just dropped this years ago.
Well, in 1961, I mean, they talked about transfusions and really being not a good thing. But 1961,
the policy was made in 45.
Yeah.
My understanding was it wasn't a de-escalating offense. You really, it's interesting. There's a Watchtower, I believe, 1953. I remember this because I actually read this to my mother, and it's a questions to readers of the Watchtower, and they asked, it said, the question was, there was an anointed sister in the congregation that took a blood transfusion. And they wanted to know, should anything be done? or should she still be allowed to partake and blah, blah, blah. And basically, Rick, the answer was that, well, they gave the reasons why they didn't accept blood, but they said, that's between her and God, whether or not she partakes, that's her choice. They said there wouldn't be any congregational action, even though, they thought it was wrong. So, that's pretty hard to believe to read that based on what they say now, but, especially in an anointed one. So that's enough evidence to tell me, well, this here isn't clear, black and white in the scriptures. I can verify.
Well, thank you, Mike, for weighing in. A lot of good thoughts there. Thank you for coming on and speaking up. We appreciate it. Let's go to Anonymous. Anonymous, you want to come on? You got something to say? Go ahead, Anonymous.
Yeah, my name is Anna, and you mentioned yesterday you're going to find out if you're able to sue them. How did you make out with that? Did you find out?
Well, evidently, there's if you get on, John Ledger. I didn't get a chance to see his whole video, but he did a video just in the last couple of days. His name is John Ledger. It's called JW Analyzer. If you send me your email address, Anna, send it to JW World News. I'll send you a link, or if you want to try to find it on YouTube, JW.
Yeah, I got him actually on YouTube. I watch his videos constantly. He's very good.
Oh, he's very, very good. He's been on here before. He's very, very good person. Very good.
Yeah.
And well, what to do? He did it. I got the video. I haven't been able to watch it all. I've been so busy, but it does talk about can the Watchtower be sued? Check that out, okay, Anna?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So I didn't see that video yet. Yeah. So I have to check that out. Yes.
Yeah. So you're doing all right.
Okay.
You're doing all right today.
Yes, I'm doing okay today.
Well, good for you, Anna. Well, thank you for coming in. Yeah.
So how come you're not in your new studio?
Oh yeah. Well, I got two studios here. Yeah. Well, that other studio. This is the 6 screens call studio where we do the programming, the long programs. But I have a studio about 5 miles from here in my place of business, and that's where we do ex-Jehovah's Witness news brief. And it's only like 5 minutes. Our programs here, they last for hours. But, a lot of people don't have.
I saw your first one was really, really good. That update, yeah.
Did you like that? Did you like the background there? Did you see the woman on top of the?
Yes, beautiful. Yes, beautiful.
That was all done with AI art. I wanted a man and a woman, dressed up nice like Jehovah's Witness used to dress, and I wanted them standing on top of the earth, and I wanted them to have chains that were broken, and having an artist do all of that would take a lot of time. So I went into AI. I have a program here, art program, and I said I want to see that. And they came up with that. It's a great looking logo.
No, it's really beautiful. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that AI is good for something.
Oh, yeah. No, it's really good. In fact, I'll tell you something. In fact, I'll tell you what AI did. In fact, they're helping me so much, even do my programs. Now, last night I mentioned, and I was really wondering how many people have died refusing blood transfusions in the organization. And, I've heard all kinds of figures, different books I've read. They gave all kinds of figures, but I put it into AI yesterday, and I wanted to know how many Jehovah's Witnesses have died for refusing a blood transfusion. So AI came back and said most independent estimates suggest between 900 and 1,250 Jehovah's Witnesses die annually worldwide due to the refusal of blood transfusions. So, that's a lot of people. 900.
So that's reality?
Yeah, that's what AI is coming. Yeah.
Oh,
A lot of people. Well, I use the example, Anna. If if a 747 airplane crashed today, they can put like 300 people in it, and if that crashed, that would be all over the news for a week. But here we have upwards of 1,250 people that perhaps are dying in the Watchtower in a year. There's no mention. You don't really see it much at all. Once in a while, you see the news, a witness died, and then for the whole, since say since 1961, when they really started coming down strong. In other words, they would disfellowship you. They strictly enforced a witness taking a transfusion. So from 1961 to early 2026, right now, it's early 2026, AI is saying 33,000 to over 300,000 Jehovah's Witnesses have lost their life. And now that's a big difference, 33 to 300,000, but let's come in the middle somewhere. Well, let's say 150,000 have died. That's serious. That's serious.
Now, Jehovah's Witnesses are well known that they don't take any blood transfusion, the most of them. And but they don't realize how many are dying.
It's too much, Anna. It really is.
I hope the world knows about it and to learn about it, how wicked that organization is.
Well, I have to totally agree with you. People listening to the Six Screens, we're not embellishing, we're not overemphasizing. It's a very wicked organization. It's very destructive. It's very dangerous, and we try to keep people from getting in, and we're helping people get out too. But we're stopping a lot of people from joining that organization and really getting their lives messed up. Really. Well, good to hear from you, Anna. Always good to hear from you.
In my area around here, a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses are leaving and a lot of Mormons are leaving too. So there's a lot of witnesses and Mormons are leaving here at the present.
Well, the reason is, and we've always said it, the internet is the great equalizer. And now that we have AI, that is the great disruptor. That is disrupting cults. That's disrupting everything that people thought was, true. And now we can find out in a second that what we've been taught is not true at all.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your good job, what you're doing, and keep doing it, and I keep listening, and have a good day.
Well, thank you, Anna. Keep waving that flag of victory. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
Oh, hi, this is Bernadette. Yeah, well, this whole organization is so ridiculous. I mean, you think how they spouted off that they're the official spokesman for Jehovah God, and yet I have never seen a religion more confused. I know of no religion that makes so many changes. But what I want to say, and somebody actually brought this up on Facebook, and I think it's such a good point. That 2000 Watchtower that Loesch referred to, and I feel the man was totally deceptive. These men do not act even as Christians, because I agree, first of all, when he said clarified, that is a lie. This is an abrupt change. This is not a clarification. But when he quoted from that 2000 Watchtower, and to make it, to imply that, it's always been the official stance that you make your own decisions, but that very article, if you read on later in the article, it comes right out and says in that same article that it is wrong to save your own blood and to later have it transfused. So that shows their deception. And I it makes me disgusted. You know, like if they want to make a change, they should make a change. It would be really cool if once in a while they actually have a scriptural basis for something, which you notice they never do. But the thing is, they can't just make a change, apologize when needed. They have to come forth deceptive, like they're in a court of law, trying to win a case and trying to use a fancy word salad to imply things that are just not true. Oh, this is a clarification. It's a change. And why I know that is, well, we know it, but one proof is, well, what about all the people that were disfellowshipped because they did transfuse their own blood? I mean, right there, if it was okay, if it was a personal choice, they would not get disfellowshipped over it. And anyway, I just wanted to spew that out.
Well, thank you, Bernadette. So yeah, you called in here before, and how long have you been out of the organization now?
It's been, I think it's 3 years. I woke up, 2 to 3, but I've got to go back and review, but I believe it's going on 3 now, but actually started waking up. Yeah.
Well, I have to tell you, a lot of people, as you know, right now are really packing their bags. You probably know a lot of people yourself, but I am getting people writing me and telling me not only are they coming out, but their whole family's coming out, Bernadette. It's unreal.
Yeah, I'm so glad. And I feel like I'm the most stupid one, because until the day I woke up, I totally believed this was the only true religion. I believed everything those governing bodies said. And I know that I sometimes hear different ones will say, oh, well, you know, I didn't agree with that, and I could see that. But I think I was just stupid, and I believed them. And then, you know, I had a very bad experience with an elder, which I have to say, my worst enemy was also my best friend, because when I had the experience and he acted just in a very unchristian way, I went to him in the spirit of Matthew 18, and he lied. I mean, the guy's a big liar, and turned around and slandered me to save his own skin. And it was so confusing and mind-boggling. And I actually Googled, I only wanted some emotional support, and I Googled elder, you know, abusing witness. And I was a person, I never would have looked at apostate websites because I believed everything those people said. Well, when I Googled the elder question, it took me to the apostate website. And boy, it didn't take long. I mean, I was shocked. I mean, I know that one couple, the man used to be at Bethel. I think he was the early one that I saw. And, a young man that had been a special pioneer and an elder, I heard his experience about 1914 and 607. And then quickly, I found out about Ray Francis' book, and I listened to that book on Audible in like a week, and I knew, and it's crystal clear once you hear it, when you hear the facts, it's so clear. This is a cult. And so I'm so thankful that you know, I hate that it happened because it was very emotional, but that's what caused me to accidentally find, I wasn't looking for apostate websites, but when I found them, I never went back. You know, I listened on Zoom a couple times, and more you learn, you get so disgusted, and never went back. And I'm just so thankful. I feel free, not free to be bad. Well, I could be bad if I wanted to. I realized that, but I thought, well, I really don't want to be bad, but I feel free to be good. Like, I love studying the Bible, and I love not having these men dictate every move, every thought, like you felt like you couldn't read certain even Bible commentaries or listen because they controlled us so much. And like now I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying that Christian freedom. But yeah, I was a witness. I got baptized in '74. So basically I wasted my life, and I regret that. I regret it, but it is what it is, you know.
Well, Bernadette, you sound like a very positive-minded lady. You have a little spring to your step. You speak with joy, and I'm glad that you wiggled your way out of that organization. And you're way better off for it today, and you know it. And anybody that's listening to this program, I don't think there's one person on this program that says they were better off when they were in the Watchtower. If they do, I don't know why they would say it, because even myself, I feel like the chains have been broken. That this is a whole new adventure for all of us. We're now living life the way we're supposed to live it.
Yes, yes.
Thank you,
And,
Bernadette.
thank you, Rick. I really appreciate your show. I believe you're sent by Yahweh, and you really help a lot of people. So thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. Maverick from London, you're on with us.
I just wanted to chime in with what Bernadette just said. She shouldn't feel that she shouldn't feel stupid, because we all, when we come in, that the things we're talking about today are fundamental. You know, Rick, this is just symptomatic. This blood issue, this currently in focus right now, is symptomatic of what we know has always been the case with Watchtower. They're walking on a PR tightrope, which is a very uncomfortable position because on one hand they have to maintain an image and the concept that they are the channel that God is using. That's one side. So that for us, rank and file, when we were there, and this is why, Bernadette, you shouldn't feel too bad. We all felt like you did. I did. I felt like a right idiot. So how did I buy into this nonsense for so long? Decades of my life down the drain, sort of thing. But when I think about it, it's very simple, because as Ray Franz mentioned, as other did Don Cameron, what's it called, about captives of a concept? The concept that we are all part of an organization, that this is the organization. And that's the reason why, for example, in this situation with the blood adjustments, as they like to call it, they can't go wholesale and just go U-turn and say, actually, we'll put our hands up. We got it wrong. Sorry, brothers and sisters, we got it wrong. Why can't they say they just got it wrong? Because, as we know, Rick, is if they do that, it literally flags up that they're not being directed by Jesus Christ through Jehovah and the channel. You know, you can't have it both ways. So they're very keenly aware. I think it's like going back to the fundamentals, don't you think, Rick? It's like they have to perpetuate the illusion that they are the channel of God, and they just can't simply just say, you know, we can't just do, okay, right, we just sat there and said, you know what, this has been ridiculous. Whoever put that policy in place 50, 60, 70 years ago, they got it wrong. And then, and like Garrett Loesch just said, okay, well, so they use the same scriptures to justify the reason to do something, and then turn around and use the same scriptures again, and then force a new idea into the same thing, with using the same scriptures. This is why everybody is thinking, hang on a minute, what's going on here? This very same scriptures that you are appealing to enforce one view and then later on use the same scriptures to go the opposite direction. So they're in a really bad situation PR-wise, because on the outside they've got to look very modern and balanced and great to the outside world. Oh, we're not draconian. We let people be free. But to the inside members, you do as you're told because we are the channel. And they're riding both things. They're on that tightrope with that stick, and they have to keep balance of both camps. Otherwise, they're in trouble. So that's why I was thinking, why is it that they have to do this incremental thing all the time? And they're not doing a good job, Rick? They're really not doing a good job of this, because their increments are getting smaller and smaller. Before, it would be a massive change after so long that the previous generation of witnesses didn't have a clue. And like, okay, well, I was too far away. Now, the gaps are getting closer and closer, and people have the internet. They have, as you said, AI. They can join the dots much faster now and go, actually, no, this isn't adding up. So I wanted to get on to last night on this, but there was the switchboard was jammed. I couldn't get it on, so I just thought, let me just make a few points today. But it all boils down to the fact that they've got to maintain that they are the channel, and to do that, you've got to do as you're told and accept and swallow everything that they say. You know, regardless of whether it's completely all over the place, and that's the problem. But more and more people are realizing that they can't keep that going, because they're making so many mistakes in the way that they're speaking and adjusting things too much. Like this whole thing, this blood thing, as you said, it's going to it's waking up a lot of people, because they're going to think, hang on a minute, you can't. All this time, Jehovah said this isn't right, and you're saying you speak for him, and now, oh well, we're not under the Mosaic law. So that's an absolute textbook case of what they call eisegesis, which is forcing that Greek word eisegesis, just to force your own ideas into the scripture and use the scriptures as a weapon to put your own thoughts in. So yeah, Rick, I mean, I had a lot of things buzzing around my head last night. They've all come out in how they've come out today, but it's just another example of them trying to hang on to their claim as the only channel. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but
Well, I tell you what, Maverick, it's always good to hear from you. But even Susan, my wife, she was up all night long last night listening to the call and looking stuff up on AI, and really getting really deep into her position that she's now taking with the Watchtower. And she brought up a good point to me today as we're discussing it before the program, that the Watchtower, they're not really giving any glory to God here. And as a matter of fact, they kind of even downgrade God by saying, Loesch comes on and says that, the governing body prayed about it and sincerely prayed about it. But I mean, didn't they pray about it before? God was supposed to be with these people all the time. They've been always the channel, as you've been saying. So, they don't give any praise to, God now is helping us to really understand that we had it wrong. And never would they give an apology. Never, ever, ever would they do that. Well, Maverick, always good to hear from you. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
No problem. I just want one more thing, Rich, just before I go. Here's the mentality, just a quick thing that came to my mind. My other half bumped into a witness on the bus a little while ago, and they were having a conversation about changes. I think it was to do with the doctrinal changes or 75. It was one of those kind of. She highlighted. This is my other half. And she said to the sister didn't know that she was a witness, so she just randomly bumped into her. She said that it was the sister. So, cut a long story short, she asked the sister, did the society get it wrong on something? Who made the mistake here? Was it the society? Was it the organization? Or was it Jehovah who made the mistake? You know what the sister said? She said, oh, it was Jehovah made the mistake. And then she caught herself, apparently. And so this is the levels of delusion that they'd throw Jehovah under the bus before they'd throw the organization under the bus when it comes to admitting that the society may have made directional mistakes. It's incredible. And she caught herself and said, oh, yeah, they did make a mistake. Can you believe that, Rick? So that's a level of indoctrination that we're dealing with. So, we all have to sort of be kind to ourselves as well. Like, we were under a strong delusion, and I'm grateful that I'm out of it. I know you're grateful to be kicked out of Satan's organization. And every day that we have freedom is a blessing. So we should enjoy whatever moments or time we have in our freedom to make our own decisions based on our conscience, So thank you, Rick.
Well, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Thank you. Thank you, Maverick. Hey, let's go to 602. 602, you're on with us. Go ahead.
Hey, Rick, I really wish, this is Gigi, I really wish you would have put me on before Maverick, because how do I follow Maverick? He's such a smart guy. So I hope you put me in a bad situation, Rick. But
Well, I mean, I know Maverick is like really, really super smart, but people, they write me and they actually call me and they say, wow, Rick, that's 6 screens at the Watchtower you do. There's some pretty smart people on there. And you know something, Gilbert, they mention your name. Can you believe that?
oh, wow.
They mention your name.
Let me see if I can make you look at. So my brother Jesse told me if this was a baseball game, the apostates just hit a grand slam. So we got four points on the scoreboard. So if you look at it from that angle, the apostates won. But number two, and because they're coming, the governing body is becoming more apostate than they are old school Jehovah's Witness. So they're coming to our side. So that was my brother Jesse's take. Rick, everybody knows in America, when you get arrested, you're told you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. And when I was listening to Jerry Loesch talk, I thought to myself, are you this stupid? I mean, do your lawyers never take cases of, criminal cases? This is the number one thing. Why did you have to talk about this? You could have written articles just telling people, mind your own business, respect HIPAA laws, and not even delve into this. But if I'm an attorney, I'm like drinking champagne because everything Loesch said was incriminating. He says, we, the governing body. He didn't say Jehovah. He said, we, the governing body, have decided. And things like that. So the rule number one is, to me, was it was sheer stupidity in my point, because you don't talk when you're in a court of law, and believe me, with the blood issue, the Jehovah's Witnesses are worried about this. Silence is your best weapon. Talking is going to get you more into trouble. And then also, remember when Reagan and Bush and Clinton and all of these presidents, whenever the opposition wanted to get them for, say, some kind of crime, right? They would always use the phrase, what did the president know and when did he know it? And so that I was thinking about that too with Jared Loesch. I mean, like, you mean to tell me that Jehovah just found out that you could use your own blood? Like, no, you guys knew this information, whatever information that they're going to use to justify their stance. They knew this information decades ago. So, that phrase, what did they know and when did they know it? And that's why it gives credence to your conspiracy theory last night that maybe some of the members of the governing body do need blood transfusions. This is just a way to do it. And the last, I just had a mental part, but what do you think about that?
Well, I think it's very good. I like what you said there about silence. It's the best. That's the best thing to do when you're called into court, or even, I think Loesch could have been a little more silent on some of the things he said. And the governing body is now being exposed for who they are. They're lying through the teeth. Hey, thank you, Gilbert.
The last thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Just the last thing. There's no such thing as coincidence. Why did they pick the old man Loesch to do it? They're picking on the old man because the new guard is going to dump everything on the old guard. That's it.
Well, thank you. You got me thinking now, Gilbert. Thank you very much for calling in. We got the court coming up here. We're going to take a couple more minutes. Go ahead, Susan. Did you want to come in? 978. Did you want to come in, Susan? I'm not sure.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, we talked quite a bit this morning, and I was up all last night. I was just so excited by what everyone had been saying. But I guess the thing that hit me the most is that what AI had brought up was the scripture about new light. When they use new light, they always use it to their advantage, and that's what they're doing. They're saying they are so blessed because God has chosen them to reveal to the world, and that's what they're telling people. And it seems from what we've heard others say, that what they've heard other witnesses say or think is that, oh yes, that's true. Isn't that wonderful? So what the governing body does is they just turns around what has been said and make it to their advantage. So you'll never win. You'll never win against them. They'll always make it sound like they're special.
Well, thank you, Susan. I enjoyed that conversation we had this morning. You did a lot of research, and thank you for doing that. Appreciate it, honey. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, folks. What we do, boy, we got a lot of people still wanting to come in. I'll tell you what, if someone wants to come in, spend about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. I'll give you the time to do that. Let's go to 585. 585, come on, you're on with us.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that if you go to BibleHub.com and you look up Acts 15, 28, and 29, the Greek word for blood is hematos. Hematos is blood guilt or blood shed, depending on the context. The Watchtower puts the translation as blood, which is haema, which is human blood or animal blood. We know in Leviticus, they're only talking about animal blood. And they're not talking about pouring out human blood, because there was no such thing as human blood sacrifice, pouring it out. It's nonsense. Only Satanists drink human blood. It certainly wasn't a command to the believers in the first century. But hematos is bloodshed or blood guilt. So abstain or avoid bloodshed or blood guilt, depending on the context. So the Watchtower, I believe they know this, but they can't come out and say it. So they're going piece by piece and just saying, oh, well, it's your own blood. So therefore, that's what the Bible is not forbidding. They're completely satanic, totally basically into witchcraft. The leaders we know are the evil slave, and not just the evil slave, but what they are is totally Satanists.
Well, you got it, brother. Hey, thank you for giving. Thank you for the little update on the Bible and the view of blood. I appreciate that. Thank you. I got to cut you off here. We got one more call, and then we got to go to another program. 631. Come on. Spend a minute or so with us. Go ahead. 631. You on? Go ahead.
Hi, Rick. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yep.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for taking my call. I was just thinking about Loesch when he was giving that talk. They just depend on witnesses being blind followers, because he makes that reference to the 2000 article, basically just quoting that one line about it being up to your conscience. Well, I went onto the website and I read that whole article. There were paragraphs prior to that outright said you are sinning against God if you take your blood out of your body, store it, and give it back in a transfusion. He acted as if this policy always existed and we're just clarifying it. They're so deceitful to their own members, and the members will blindly follow it and go, oh, look, one more lovely change. It's just heartbreaking.
Well, I'm glad you picked up on that. It was more than a clarification. Well, thank you.
One little point, Rick. I got one little point. I hope that the members will listen carefully to what he said and realize that maybe some will live. He also mentioned using blood in medicines. They're making custom-made medicines now. I wish everybody well, But if somebody needs that, I hope that the witnesses that are still in realize they can use their own blood to make those new tremendous, miraculous medicines that they have now. They're rare, but they work.
Well-
And I wish everyone a wonderful Sunday. And my blood card says Red Cross.
There you go. Oh, I like that. Yeah, you're right, Pixie. Well, anyways, well, maybe, yes.
I'm sorry, I know you're running late, but I found it interesting that Brother Loesch, while bringing out God's law on blood, quote unquote, from the Bible, he didn't mention the scripture that was always thrown in our face about blood, the scripture at Acts 21 and verse 25, where they said that we keep away from blood. And also in John chapter 10, when the people were talking against Jesus, saying he had the sayings of a demon, and somebody else said, or others said, and this is the New World Translation, Acts 10:21, it says, others said, these are not the sayings of a demonized man. A demon cannot open blind people's eyes, can he? And we have to realize these people have scales. They are blind. And as another note, my husband came home and he happened to drive by my old Kingdom Hall, which used to be packed. On a Sunday, there were only 7 cars. Thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you, Anne Marie. And what I want to say too is the Watchtower now is realizing they have to change the blood doctrine. It's due to legal pressures and the fact that the internet exists, and Jehovah's Witnesses are becoming more aware of the fact that the Watchtower is changing too much doctrine. They're rolling so much back. They've got so many flip-flops in their policies. And also the legal department, maybe the legal department, the corporate strategist for the Watchtower are telling them that they've got to end the blood doctrine. And it's shocking, I know, but it's going to cause a major stampede of Jehovah's Witnesses leaving the organization. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming into JW World News Sunday edition. Now, stay with us. Don't head for the mountains. We have got the Christian court coming up. And friends, this is a place where Christians ask peculiar questions. And you know something? They get answers. Unlike the Watchtower, you can question the Watchtower, but don't dare question their answers. We're going to the court. Stay with us. Stay on this channel. Thank you very much for coming in. All right, we're going to end.